Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the review of the Go Home show for Slammiversary. This was not a great Go Home show, but I can say this. They did do the things they need to do, but I wasn't totally satisfied with it. Now, I think the best thing that opened the show, and I'm sure a lot of people would say that it wasn't a great thing. I believe it was a great thing because we finally, hopefully, will be getting rid of a member of Aces and Eights. Showing in the back, D'Lo Brown being taken out by Anderson does two things for me. One, I'm hoping beyond anything they're finally taking D'Lo off television. Period. Two, this just makes me feel that as much as I want to end the Aces and Eights as quickly as possible, I have a feeling there's something that needs to be addressed before it's over. And that's a possible faction war within Aces and Eights. The way they're presenting Mr. Anderson, and you see him at the end of the show with AJ Styles, you see that there's a possibility that there's going to be a conflict between Mr. Anderson and Bully Ray. I have a feeling they may be going in that direction. You guys tell me below what you think, if you believe it's going to happen, if you think it's out of your mind crazy, particularly we don't want to see Aces and Eights anymore. This is what I'm feeling. This is what vibe I'm getting from this. That they're going to show a tease between Aces and Eights, Bully Ray as VP, no, as president, not VP. Sorry about that. And Mr. Anderson, who is one of the regular guys there. I have this feeling this is happening, particularly what happened at the end of the show. Because when AJ and Mr. Anderson happened, Mr. Anderson did not job, technically. He did. I'll get to the actual match and the full ending later in this review, but I'm just saying that. Now, the full beginning is a tag team match between Sting and Parks versus the brothers of 3D. Well, it wasn't a very long match. Thank goodness for that. And it was a nice change. Not much of an opening promo segment or anything, even though it was a pre-tape. It's obvious it was a pre-tape and it was short, which was okay. Seeing this wasn't bad. It wasn't a great match, let's be honest. But it was hyping up what needed to be done, particularly how Bully Ray talked in the very beginning, saying that no one is going to get over on us. We are the best. Not in those words, but that's how I feel about it. In the end, we get Sting winning over Bully Ray because the Abyss music comes off. Now, I was upset when Abyss was finally shown for the simple reason is that a lot of times these promotions, they want quick gains without really giving us enough substance. Really. We don't always get good substance with these shows. We don't. When something looks like it's going to work really well and is working, a lot of times they flip the script and they just dump it because they think they'll get a better pop from something else. When I saw Abyss come back, I was very upset because I thought the Joseph Park character was going to be buried. I'm very glad they didn't bury him because teasing showing the Abyss periodically still goes along a storyline that we sure obviously know that Joseph Park is like another facet of the Abyss. We know this. It's obvious. By showing this and showing that Joseph Park eventually has been setting this up, we'll eventually bring the Abyss back completely. And then we'll see the Joseph Park character slowly go away and the Abyss come back. And that's how it should be. This is one of the ways they're doing it. They're teasing Abyss periodically, but not totally bringing him back. And I'm glad they did it this way. I'm glad. The next thing was when I saw Dixie come to the ring and talk about Slammiversary and the next person that's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, I was wondering who it could be. I haven't looked at no spoilers and I don't want to. One of the ways you keep being interested in this product is you don't look at all the spoilers and every single bit of information. That's for me. I don't do a lot of research. One of the reasons why I don't want to get burnt out. I've seen so many other people get so burnt out and they love the product. But they get burnt out because they see so much of spoilers, things that don't go right. And I just don't want to go down that route. So I don't know who is going to be the next Hall of Famer. But seeing Garrett Bischoff being the one that talked does give a tease of Eric. It does. Or someone that Eric was associated with. It could be Big Daddy Cool. It could be Scott. It could be Boo. It could be a lot of people. Big Papa Pump could be the person that's doing it. But showing Garrett as the one to do this does give a very good surprise. As much as Garrett cannot talk, and Samoa Joe said it best, ladies and gentlemen. He said, I don't know who the hell gave you a mic, but I'm going to make sure you learn how to be a man once I whip your ass. I am so glad Samoa Joe said it, because you can see the caliber of Samoa Joe versus a Garrett Bischoff. A clear undercarder versing a main eventer. It is obvious. I'm glad this was short, sweet, and to the point. Also, it leads into a match that's coming up. And I felt that this had to be for the heel twins. I wasn't expecting Doc to be thrown in it and Jeff Hardy. It's not bad that Jeff Hardy's being brought back this way, because he's not being put in the main event, and that's better for that. I'm glad. So the next thing is the 8-man tag. When I watched it, I didn't see the stereotypicals get a entrance, but I did get a cutoff on my television. I wasn't able to see it. So when I did a review of it again, I'm glad they did actually have the stereotypicals getting their theme music. How was the match? The heels made it interesting for me. That was it. Seeing the interaction between Christopher Daniels, between Robert Roode and Austin Aries, priceless. Kazarian had his few moments, but those three are the ones that are most interesting. And I felt that you could have interchanged Robert Roode with Christopher Daniels, because it looks like Austin Aries and Christopher Daniels could have some good chemistry as heels together. So in the end, what do we get? We get a Gunner winning over a, who was it? Austin Aries, which I'm surprised. Austin Aries, a former world champ. They are really pushing Gunner. They really want to try something with him. And I don't really have a big problem with it. The only thing is this. As I said when they finally presented Gunner to us, it's going to be a question if the chemistry between Gunner and James Storm is going to work. And I'm sure Dick Storm, baby, has been watching this and is saying, oh, baby, I'm going to be glad when my boy Dick Storm is going to be getting the tag team, baby. You're going to see the Storm blow everybody away with the Gunner. The Gunning Storm, as I call it. I've been thinking about it, so the Gunning Storm sounds as stupid as it can be, but it's better than nothing. But I'm hoping they'll have some good chemistry after Slammiversary. Because if they do survive this, if they win or if they lose, they need more tag teams in the division. It's obvious that Magnus and Samoa Joe are going to be offered to us in the tag team division. And that was one of the best things about TNA. They had great tag teams. That was one of the things I loved. And I'm glad it's being hopefully built up. Now, one thing I'm very disappointed about, which does go into two things, X Division and Knockouts. Look, I saw Food Killer and I saw the British Fist. They both basically said the same thing. When are they going to do the trigger on Mickie Jane? Mickie Jane should have already been turned heel. Food Killer was right. He said when they had the first match, she should have already turned heel then, and she hadn't. She showed some heel tendency when she won the championship, when she did the chop block. But still, they didn't let her pull the trigger. Now with this segment with her, she almost sounds like a chicken shit heel. And that does not fill me with a lot of confidence what TNA is going to do with her. I don't want to see Mickie Jane as a chicken shit heel. I don't. But the way they presented her to me was of a chicken shit heel. And going against Velvet Sky, another thing I don't understand, you got Terrence Terrell and Gail Kim in a last knockout standing match. Why couldn't they fit on their card the Knockouts Championship? You don't see it on the website today at this time. There's nothing there. So why are you going to put this on television, TNA? I don't get it. And then when Kim comes out saying, I want the shot, then Velvet Sky says, I'm going to be having the shot first. And then she's attacking her. Why couldn't Mickie Jane, who is supposed to be is a heel right now, or supposed to be being teased as a heel, why didn't she attack? Oh, it's upsetting. That was a perfect opportunity for Mickie Jane to go after a Velvet Sky, to attack her while she's messing with Kim. But what do we got? Mickie Jane walking to the back. And then the mixed tag between the X Division, 2 of the X Division and 2 of the Knockouts. Kim and King, Little Nigga King. As you see, Kenneth King got his lovely music. He got the Gail Kim, who has a K in her name and must be subservient to the king. And then you got Chris Sabin and Terrence Terrell. It was a short match, and you see craziness from Terrence as usual, and you see a Chris Sabin winning over a Kenny King. I'm so sorry for you, man. It would have been nice if you were dominant, but they need to do something with Suicide. I said this in my last Impact review. If they don't present Suicide this time for the Ultimate X, that's going to happen to Slammiversary, it's just going to indicate that he's just a jobber, and those two are going to be the ones that's going to be presented. Seeing Suicide going after King, knocking him out of the ring, picking up the belt and showing it in front of Sabin's face, saying, I'm going to win it, motherfucker, was a good thing. It was. And I'm glad it happened. Do I believe that the Ultimate X is going to be alright? Probably, yeah. It's going to be probably a good Ultimate X match. But I'm very concerned about this triple threat being constantly being used. I really believe they're beginning to overutilize this gimmick. And I said this before, when you overutilize something, something's lost in the translation. You can either overuse it and people get bored with it, or you cannot promote a feud properly. And look what they did. They did a mixed tag out of the blue because they needed to show Kenny King and Chris Sabin in a feud. Eventually, they're going to have to decide either to drop this and do the regular format for X Division, or keep doing this, and they're going to have to add the third person in to do a feud properly. I'm hoping for either one. They must do either a third person to do a feud properly, or they go back to the two-man format. Now, the look, I'm going to say it like this. For the Brooks segment with Hulk Hogan, I believe this is still a tease. This has got to be a tease for Brooke to turn heel. Because if they're showing Bully Ray having affection to her, it makes no sense unless she turns heel. We need it. So seeing her with Hulk Hogan, it makes sense. Was it a good segment? Wasn't bad. But I'm very disappointed that they didn't give Brooke more time to talk, because Hogan said it best. I've been trying to talk to you for a week. Well, that's pretty interesting, Terry, because we've been hoping for something from your daughter Brooke for almost a month now. We haven't seen nothing since the last pay-per-view. Nothing. She should have had something more interesting in the last 3 months. She should have more talking. And we've been screaming for the last month, particularly they ramping up to this, that she should have been talking more. So it's good that you've been concerned. Thank you. So, this is what I'm feeling about Brooke. If they're going to tease her turning heel, maybe they'll do it at Bound for Glory. I don't think they can do it now. It's still too soon. But I'm not fond of it taking so long to do it like that. But it depends on how they're structuring this. Now, it leads me into the final match I'm going to be talking about. And that is AJ versus Mr. Anderson. It wasn't a bad match, but we didn't have a clear winner. Like I said in the beginning of my review, Mr. Anderson didn't job. AJ looked good, being the dark horse that he is. And it's Kurt Angle, who also did a segment earlier saying he may still respect AJ, but he still wants to knock his teeth down his throat. So Kurt Angle comes in and interferes in the match, and then all hell breaks loose. We get all the aces and eight. Then we get everybody that's pretty much involved in Slammiversary. What do we get at the end? We get a 3D on Sting. And then we get all of aces and eight standing tall. But aces and eight lost most of the matches and really didn't get very far. They just showed more of a conflict in their club, particularly that last line that Bully Ray said, "I want to see bodies," in one of the segments. "I want to see victims. If we don't get victims, one of you or all of you are going to be victims." So showing this conflict really makes me feel that there's more coming up in the next couple of months. So I give this a B-. I've been thinking to give it a C+ because we didn't get no Matt Morgan. And we don't seem to have any match for Slammiversary for the Knockouts Championship. They should have stuck that in there. If they're doing it at the last minute as a dark match, it's stupid. At least put it up on your website, TNA. If you're going to do this on television, that's a big waste. Just because it's a really big match for 2 knockouts, who says you can't have 4 knockouts with 2 good matches? A last knockout standing match, I haven't heard done. I've never seen 2 women do a last man equivalent standing match. So this will be interesting for me. Anyone else, you can tell me you've seen it through TNA over the years. I understand it. Like I said, I come late into TNA. But honestly, they could have put two matches with 4 knockouts on there. So I really wanted to give this a C+, but they did good with AJ. They're still teasing about Brooke turning heel. Mr. Anderson really feels like he's going to be coming up with a conflict between him and Bully Ray. And wondering who the Hall of Famer is has intrigued me. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane's View. Subscribe and comment on my channel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry if this is late. Unfortunately, I would have had this up sooner, but my power went out. They were messing with my wiring. This would have been up at least 4 hours earlier, but unfortunately, there was no power. No computer, no phone, no internet. So I hope you have a good night and a good day.